Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another Turbo Tyler video. Today we're here at Hydro M2 Graphics. We're with the owner Michael. I appreciate you having us here, Michael, today.
Not a problem, Tyler.
And what we're going to be doing here today is hydro dipping the engine covers on the Mark II Focus ST. So in the Ford community, especially with the Mark II Focus STs, it's super common for people to hydro dip the engine covers. So I wanted to go ahead and get mine done as well. So I got in touch with Michael, and today we're going to go ahead and hydro dip the engine cover. So we'll show you one that we did the other day so you can see what the finished product is going to look like. This one's still awaiting some clear coat, but this is what we're going for. So we've decided to go for a forged carbon look. The forged carbon, me and Michael were discussing, is starting to become in fashion now, a lot more popular than the traditional carbon weave. So that's one that Michael pre-prepared for us the other day. We've still got two pieces that are going to be ready to dip that have been prepped, and we'll talk a little bit in a minute about the preparation process and why it's so important. Because I've tried to hydro dip in the past, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have at home as well, and it's a lot more difficult than it looks. You watch a YouTube video of these guys with film and a Systema container with a bit of water, and it looks like they get brilliant results, but there's definitely a lot more prep that goes into it. So before we go ahead and dip these parts, I just want Michael to give us a bit of a rundown on the hydro dipping process. So what is hydro dipping for people who aren't as familiar with it?
Basically what it is it's a transparent film with a pattern printed onto one side. It can be applied to basically any product as long as it's been prepared properly. Aluminium, for example, needs to be very well prepared and scuffed. Then an etch primer is applied before any base coat colour. With a plastic, you have to be particularly careful, especially with engine parts. The plastic will absorb oil, any sort of contaminants, which, if not prepared properly, can come out at any time during the process. Now these are scuffed with degreaser, then Prepsol. We can Prepsol them up to 2 or 3 times to make sure that all the oil is out of the plastic. Then what happens is the product is done in a base colour, which is dictated obviously by what film you want to put over the top. So this in effect could be a blue base or a green base, which would then, with a carbon fibre over the top, would allow that base colour to shine through and then match your car or whatever whatever sort of piece you're doing. With this particular one, what we've done is we've put the car colour over the lettering. Once we dip it, we can then wipe the hydro film off the top of those letters, and then what we end up with is the forged carbon with the colour-coded lettering showing through.
One of the questions I had, because when I've been hydro dipping in the past, the main thing I struggled with was little pockets of air bubbles. So after I dipped the film and pulled it back out, I had little pockets where the film hadn't been applied. Yeah,
one of the big techniques of dipping anything is you've got to allow for 90-degree corners. Because what happens is, if you were to dip this just straight down in the water, what would happen is air would stay in that pocket, and wherever you've got an air bubble, the film and the water cannot reach that particular area. So you have to, sometimes you can sit one of these on a table, walk past it for 2 or 3 hours, and every time you walk past you have a look and you go, okay, what angle do I have to dip that so that I don't trap air?
So the entry angle is a big part of the process.
Yes, because if you're putting this into the water a certain way, what you've got to allow for is that as it goes in, you're pushing air away from those pockets.
Yeah.
And that's one of the techniques that, as you were saying before, guys have a look at hydro and they go, oh, how easy is that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just dip it in a bit of water, eh?
But the guys on most of the videos, if you're watching American videos or whatever it is, these guys do it for a living.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing this about 15 years, and the first maybe 2 years, it was all just playing with it.
Yeah.
Literally just playing with it to make it work.
It's not something you pick up in a few weeks, is it?
No, and it also, the the variables that they don't mention on these other videos is that water temperature is critical. Even air temperature is critical. And that all dictates how much activator you spray on the film once it's on the water. If you get the amount of activator wrong, it's not going to work. And that's either too much activator, too little activator. And each film up to a point works differently. A high colour film won't work the same as example as the carbon will. Because the full colour inks have got a lot more material that you have to melt, which is basically all the activator is doing. It's melting the ink so that it becomes liquid on top of the water.
It's a lot more technical than it seems on the surface, isn't it?
It's like everything else. It's a learning process. It's not just, you know, buy some film, whack it in a plastic tub and away you go. It certainly helps if you've got a painting background like I have, because everything is in the prep. So if you're doing, you know, aluminium, steel, stainless steel, I mean, you can dip wooden parts if they're sealed in 2K primer first, you know. The prep I definitely can understand is the most important. It's all in the prep. If the prep isn't right, at some stage, you'll see it in the final product. There's no cutting corners with these types of processes, is there? No. Gives you guys, the viewers, a good rundown of all the technical side that goes into it and the skill that you can only get after years of experience like Michael has. So I think we're about ready to dip these parts now, aren't we? Cool. All right, so we'll get into the dipping process, let Michael do his thing, show you guys what it's all about. All right guys, so that is the hydro dipping process complete now, or at least the dipping aspect of it. So now we've just got to let them dry. How long would you typically let them dry for before we start the clear coating? Generally, I like to leave things overnight. So these can be dried off with an air blower, but as a general rule, I like to leave these for 24 hours before they're clear coated anyway. So as a general rule, leave them overnight, come in tomorrow, just check there's no water in, you know, any of the little recesses. And then, straight into clear coat. Cool. Plastics, as a rule, I don't like to bake in the oven, purely and simply because if there's any contaminants in that plastic, it will try to draw them out, and then obviously that affects the clear coat. So
cool. Okay, well we'll let these dry and leave Michael for the clear coating process, and catch back in a week's time once these pieces are cleared, and we'll show you guys what they look like. All right guys, so we're back with Michael. It's been a week since we last saw him, and the pieces have now got the clear coat on. So we'll just have a chat real quick. What have you done since the dipping process then?
Well, basically these were dipped as we saw last week. They were just let to dry for 24 hours naturally. Then they had 3 coats of a 4:1 2K clear on them, and basically that is the finished product. There's nothing more to do. This clear has the same resilience as what a brand new car has. It's exactly the same material, so stands up to most things, and should be good for 10, 20 years.
Yeah, the rest of the life of the car.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant. So
pretty much.
All that's left to do now is for us to go home and install them on the car. I have to say the quality, the way they've turned out, is even better than I was hoping for. And I'm really glad we changed the design and went with the orange logo and everything like that. So I have to say, you know, a massive thanks to you, Michael, for working with us and doing these pieces. Guys, the quality of the work here is amazing, and he doesn't just do hydro dipping. So if you're in New Zealand, we'll put all his contact details in the description below, so you guys can get in touch and get some pieces like this made for yourself as well. So yeah, that's it. We'll go home and install them on the car now. All right guys, so we're back home now. Just picked up the pieces from Michael. Super excited to get them on the car. So you can do this with all of this stuff installed and just slide the pieces in here and stuff, but Michael's put so much effort into these and I really don't want to scratch them at the last minute. So I'm going to take off the wiper cowl, take off the intake. The most difficult one's going to be sliding that one in there, but we're just going to take it super slow. So yeah, let's get started. Shouldn't be too long. Getting pretty fast at pulling all that stuff off now because I basically have to do it for any job I do. So that's going to give us plenty of access to get those top 2 covers on there. No real benefit for that side one, which is the one I'm least looking forward to. Just going to get started, get it out of the way. So guys, I haven't put the rest of it all back together yet, but I think it looks absolutely amazing. It's turned out like the way it looks in the engine bay is even better than I'd hoped for. Let's put the rest of it back together so we can take some cool videos and photos before we run out of daylight here. But yeah, absolutely blown away with it. All right guys, so that is the pieces fully installed on the car now. Absolutely blown away. Now I just need to get the rest of all the plastic out of this engine bay because that has just completely transformed it and just made the whole thing 10 out of 10. So really looking forward to continuing to work with Michael and get all of the stuff done. If you want to get your stuff hydro dipped or any sort of bodywork stuff done like that, like I said, their contact details are in the description below. M2 Hydrographics. Yeah, make sure you guys contact them. Can't recommend them enough. Thanks again, Michael, for the help on these parts. I really do appreciate it, and I'm absolutely blown away with the way they've turned out. So if you guys enjoyed this video and want me to work with some more companies and this style of video, because I've really enjoyed making it, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video of Turbo Tyler.